Hello, everybody. Good evening. I think we should get started. We have a decent number of audience who have already joined. So let's get started. So today's webinar. Thank you for the great participation. And I could see a lot of cities, a lot of states, IQAC people, faculties, deans, directors have joined this webinar. So I'm extremely happy. So this is a very good testimony that quality assurance is being taken very seriously in India, especially for the people who are very aspirational, people who are trying to do multiple accreditations at a time. So this target setting strategy happens to be at the center of everything. So no doubt we had a great participation for this. As you all know, today I will be taking the first session, and then followed by we have very own Dr. Manisha, who comes as a head of accreditations at James Cook University. She'll be joining us in a bit. And whatever we are going to discuss today, she has implemented this across the university for several years. And we are going to hear firsthand from ma'am that how they have positioned strategy, data driven decision making, right target setting, all of this correctly at JCU. So this webinar is going to be highly hands on, very practical. So there won't be just knowledge sharing. It is going to be something like, how can you use this in the day to day life, and there will be something very valuable out of all this. So we are going to share this presentation and a certificate to all the participants by the end of this webinar. So it's okay if you don't take notes right now, or it is okay if you don't take screenshots. It's perfectly fine. So with all your permission, let me quickly get started with the today's agenda. So if you have any doubts, if you face any difficulties, if you want to ask something, you can use the chat bot. We'll have the Q&A session dedicated at the end of the webinar. So let us not disturb the entire crowd here, the audience here, because we are typically in one link of some strategy. So the chat bot is open for all. Everybody can freely use the chat bot, and my team has also joined. So perfect. So today's webinar topic is very simple, yet most important when it comes to accreditation. It is making institutional strategy measurable. Now, when I was going through the people who have registered, I could see lots and lots of people who have IQAC background, who have done accreditations in the past, who are deans, directors, ex-directors. So I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain why strategy is important. Like, you guys know this 100 times more than what I do. But what we have noticed when we started working with roughly around 57 institutions that Studium works today across India, we are very curious to note certain points. That's why I thought, this webinar will make a lot of sense at this point of time. So everybody has a strategic plan. Everybody has a well documented strategic approach. We have KPI mapping done everywhere. But the entire point is, how do you make it measurable? A gentle request for my Yeah, thank you. So this webinar will focus not on how to create strategy, but how to make the strategy measurable, and how to think about when you are setting some very specific targets, right? Let's go ahead. So what is the reality right now? So every institution is doing a strategic plan once in every 3 to 5 years. There are a lot of documents that we utilize, especially during the accreditation cycles. So what we have noticed is that this document more often than not stays within the higher management. This is a higher management document who are trying to refer to all of this, who are trying to understand what is happening. But the people, the executors of quality, which are the faculties, deans, the IQAC people, might not be knowing the exact logic behind this, might not be knowing exactly how do we work around this. Hence, this starts becoming a very unmeasurable topic here, right? So it is a very recent study by McKinsey and Co, where it was stated that only less than 20 to 30% institutions across India are tracking this entire strategic plan year on year. But we can't say that nobody has it. Everybody has a strategic document, strategic plan, right? Let's go ahead. So, what is the real purpose of this? So, definitely accreditations ask for it, but we don't do strategic plan for accrediting committees. So, it may be in MBA or anybody, it has to be something more than that. It has to be having a very correct and real purpose around why are we doing it. So we stayed into four very logical points: aligning the institution around a shared mission, aligning departments with institutional priorities, turn vision into measurable goals, and embed strategy into daily operations. If we are achieving this, then trust me that any accreditation, any ranking that we go, we are going to be just ready for it, right? So I was very happy to see certain institutions joining from very elite institutions. So won't be taking any names on this webinar, but I'm pretty sure they have already done this, and I'm pretty happy that they are also witnessing this webinar. Would love to hear some inputs after this webinar is completed. So now that we know this, that when institutions implement measurable strategic plan, what are the benefits? What do we exactly get when we make the strategic plan measurable, actionable, very, very transparent? It is disseminated. All the departments understand this role very nicely. Accreditations will start becoming a very natural process. Right now, lot of places we are doing a lot of things for a specific accreditation, which is not necessary. We all know right now a lot of things are changing at UGC, AICTE. Recently, I got a chance to meet Dr. TG Sitharam sir. He shared amazing inputs around how is the accreditation landscape changing, and it was very evident that accreditations will keep on changing because India is trying to go towards a developed economy. When we go towards a developed economy, the education, accreditations, quality, and their measurements will definitely change, right? So we as IQAC, or we as the central data assurance platforms, we should make sure that we are keeping our highest focus on actionable strategic plans, right? Next. Now, once this is done, let's dive deep into what is the practical framework that we appreciate all institutions to do. Again, a lot of these points will be already known to you, but at the end of the webinar, you will see that all of these points weaving together, all of these points coming together, all of these points make a lot of sense when you see this getting tracked across the year. So this starts with a vision statement, definitely. And I'm going to take some real example, but let's see what are the steps. Starting with the vision, then we have multiple mission statements, then we have some metrics to target. Then for those metrics, we have certain targets. For every metric, we have some initiatives. For every initiative, there is a monitoring process. And once these initiatives are completed, then we finally get impact. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of institutions who are aspiring for international accreditations. And also NBA now is focusing a lot upon what kind of impacts are we creating. So are we creating social impact? Are we creating how many SDGs are we catering to? How many student driven startups are we promoting? So to measure all these impacts, this should link back to the vision statement. This should link back to the mission, which becomes very, very important to measure, right? So in today's webinar, we are going to see how do you jump from vision to impact, right? And how do you do this more than opinionated way? How do you do it with a data-driven way, data-driven decision-making way, right? So these are the 5 steps. How do you do this? So we have a very well-defined vision. So all institutions who are attending, I got a chance to analyze certain vision statements on certain websites, and I'll love to share some inputs later on after this webinar. But everybody has a very well defined vision statement. If they don't, they should definitely have the it should not be changing every 2 years or 3 years. It should be at least 5 to 7 years consistent. Then we are defining by the vision that where do you want to go, what's the destination, what's the final objective, why are we doing all of this effort behind all of this. Mission, on the other hand, defines the purpose, that whatever we are doing, what will be the purpose behind this, what will be the plan behind this, what are the small steps behind this. Then comes very important institutional priorities, key focus areas for leadership and resources. What are the institutional priorities? Are we focusing on research? Are we focusing on placements? Are we focusing on industry? What are our own areas that we want to focus upon? All the mix of all these three lead us towards strategic goals. These strategic goals should be typically 5 to 6, not more than that. Once you have these strategic goals, what is the meaning of these goals basically? Goals are in written in very simple language that what do I want to achieve in next 5 years? Or this is a translation of my vision and mission into very simple goals, right? So for example, research excellence, industry collaboration, global engagement, student success, faculty development. This sounds very generic. You can elaborate on the top of it. You can write 3 sentences for every goal saying that what do we exactly mean by this, right? Once you finalize this part, then we have a chance to find out that how do you measure these goals, right? So today we are going to take a small example because I don't want to sound very preachy. I want to sound very actionable. I want to take some live cases over here, and hence let's go next. We have a small case study in front of us. So this webinar will be also joined by one of my colleague, Miss Priya, and she holds good amount of experience working with PGDM institutions. So we have taken a small case study over here. So Priya, if help us understand what is the institution that we are going to check for today. What are the cycles of accreditation and what all have you completed?
Okay, so thank you, Shubham. I would love to help you understand that right now we are a PGDM institution based in Maharashtra. We have completed one NBA cycle. We are AACSB members, and we believe that we are a quality first institution.
Okay, and what is the status on NIRF?
So from last 2 to 3 years, we are applying for NIRF, but somehow we are not able to crack the rank band. So maybe our future target for next 3 to 4 years will be entering into the rank band of NIRF.
Perfect. So if I'm not mistaken here, but a lot of institutions will be in this particular cadre that NBA is already done. For our example sake, we have taken one NBA cycle, but we might have completed 2 to 3 NBA cycles. Then we might have opted for certain international rankings and accreditations, right? For this case purpose, I'm taking AACSB. But there are a lot of business accreditation, there are engineering accreditation, there is QS rankings. So I mean that we are trying to go in the international tier. That is what I mean by we are having some international accreditation. NIRF that are very, very crucial in today's days. This institution, for example, is applying, but they're not able to score into it and they are trying to get into that rank band, right? So now let us dive deep into what exactly is happening to this particular institution and what kind of strategic goals should this institution be setting if this is the situation, right? So now let us understand the vision and mission that Priya's institution has to offer us. So Priya, help us understand the vision to be a center of excellence in education, research, and innovation, nurturing socially responsible and globally competent professionals. I'm not going to go in the correctness of vision and mission today because this is very subjective, very contextual, right? The mission says that to deliver quality education through dynamic curriculum, effective teaching learning processes, and industry relevant skills, to promote research, innovations, and entrepreneurship that address real world challenges and contribute to societal development, to develop ethical, responsible professionals with leadership qualities, global perspective, and commitment towards sustainable development. Now, if this is the vision and mission, now what is the step number one? Step number one is you find out the key words, very important words that you want to focus upon, right? Categorize them into certain domains. And now these are the 4 goals that we have derived for Priya's institution. First, now please keep this in mind. We are not taking any real example here. These are not the real goals of any business school. This is just for experimentation and explaining in a oversimplified manner. That's why don't if we are making some domain mistakes, please forgive us for doing that. So the goal number 1 over here is achieve excellence in education to develop globally competent professionals, deliver industry relevant education through effective teaching and modern curriculum, promote research, innovation, and entrepreneurial thinking, develop responsible professionals committed to ethics and sustainable development. Now, if you see, the mission 1 is connected to 1 and 2, goal number 1 and 2. Mission number 2 is connected to goal number 2, and mission 3 is connected to goal number 4. Now, if you just also go down, you find out what are the keywords that we have to focus. So in the goal number one, we are going to focus on quality education. Then we are going and learning outcomes. Second, industry readiness and employability. Third, research and innovation and knowledge creation. Fourth, ethical values and social responsibilities and leadership development. Now, how do you validate these goals? First, you have to start taking a stakeholder feedback. Who are the stakeholders? Students, parents, teachers, like faculties, recruiters, industry, academia, NGOs, PSUs, government, and any other things that I might be missing into this. When we set a vision and mission, we are talking to all our stakeholders and saying, hey, we have these four goals for our institution. Do they seem correct to you? And take a feedback from them. This sounds to be a very textbookish process, but this adds a lot of value. The last section over here is metrics, but I won't cover the metrics part right now, but we'll jump back to the original slides. So now we have come towards the area where we have already decoded the vision and mission, and now we have found out certain strategic goals. As you all know, there is a platform called as Studium, which typically helps doing all of this. So this is an AI-driven platform. All of this report that you could see right now was generated by Studium's AI, and we are trying to help business schools or institutions to find their correct measurable goals. So any institution who is attending today's webinar, if they wish to find out that are we setting the right goals, are we setting the right metrics, there will be a free toolkit shared with those people. All you have to do is basically get in touch with some people from our team and let's book a free consultation, and there we can refine all the points that I'm talking about right now. Right now, here comes the next part. How do you measure these goals? Right. So when you start measuring, now we have done something very innovative over here. No rocket science, but I think this is very, very important. Again, I'm going to take the similar example of the same business school. This business school has to go ahead with NIRF, NBA, AACSB. In the future, they'll also target for Equis, AMBA, and QS rankings, right? But I can't ask Priya to keep changing her goals when she approaches every single or every new accreditation. So today she has a focus of NBA. So she has set these 5 goals. Tomorrow she says, I want to go to Equis. It shouldn't be like now I'm going to change my goal, right? So what we have done, we have basically studied all these accreditations or rankings and we have derived to certain measurable metrics. So we divide this into stakeholders: the student related metrics, faculty related metrics, courses or academic related metrics, events, initiatives related metrics, corporate relations, alumni, admissions, so on and so forth. So we have divided this into roughly 12 categories. Under these categories, these are the metrics that you can see. So there are program completion rate, progression rate, median salary, internship participations, publications, scopus, etc. Faculty with industry consultancy, etc. Now, once this is completed, now this is just a sample. Now, this whatever I'm showing right now is a most important segment of today's webinar. Everybody has a vision mission. Most of you already have goals, but the most important part is how do you measure it? So we are going to give a list of all these 150 measurable metrics. We are also going to show you how are these exactly going to get measured, right? So that you can link these metrics with your strategic goals and then start allocating some initiatives around it. So help us go through this detailed list of metrics. So now we have a detailed list of metrics in front of us, where not only this 510 that you can see on the screen, but here is a detailed list. So how do you read this particular part? A metric: source, domain, unit, process stage, metric owner, rules of metric, and how to measure it. So this is a indigenously developed. We have a lot of advisors on our board who come from very reputed institutions. Using the knowledge of all of them sitting together, we have derived these metrics. So they will basically start telling you which are the metrics, where are we deriving them from, which category do they belong to, for example, research, faculty, student, etc. What is the unit of measurement, number, decimal, percentage. Now, most important is the process stage. At what level will this help you? So is this an input level metric? Is this a process level metric? Or this is an output level metric? What do you mean by that? Input level indicates student intake quality. So for example, what kind of students are you taking in? This defines your admission, your diversity, your previous education, your CAT score, your ZAT score. All of these are input level metrics. Or what kind of faculties do you hire? What kind of infrastructure do you take? What kind of IT sources you take, etc. Process indicates what kind of process optimizations are you doing? How many capacity building workshops do you do for your faculties every year? Then how many industry sponsored projects you take every year, etc. Output is what you give to the society. So for example, median salary, placement percentage, success index, all of these are output metrics. You cannot really control them because they are result driven. So this is how you divide your metrics into input, output, and process. Then the next column is basically who owns this: HR, R&D, individual faculty, etc. How do you measure this? So there are rules of metrics. So a lot of accreditations have given certain rules around it. That, for example, percentage of PhD faculties. So only awarded PhDs, not pursuing. Pursuing is a separate count. Then PhD must be under a recognized university, etc. So these are the rules that we have mentioned under every single metric. And then we go towards how do we measure it? What's the formula for measuring this? Right? So this is like the Bible that I personally follow when we talk to multiple institutions across India. And we recommend them to utilize this because the thought is very simple and very interesting, that if you focus on these metrics and if you achieve your targets, then essentially you are getting ready for all accreditations and rankings. You just have all accreditation reports right in front of you, right? So this is how you think about measurable metrics, right? Now let's go next. Let's go to the next section. That now that we have, where have we reached so far? We have a vision, we have a mission, we have derived the strategic goals, we have audited that these strategic goals are realistic, achievable. Now we also have some metrics in front of us. Now what we are going to do, we are going to link those metrics to those particular goals. That is, what are the key performance indicators how of this particular goal, right? Once you have metrics, now just having metrics won't help you. That will be the definition of your goal. That's all. How do you set right targets for this? I have worked with roughly around 50, 57 institutions so far. What we have noticed at a lot of places is that the targets setting is not necessarily happening data driven. It is typically happening opinionated. That means some person thinks that this target should be at this level. That's why we are setting it, right? The real process is right on your screen. Identify your own data for this metric for last 3 academic years. Identify NAC, NBA, or whichever is your accreditation that you are trying to go for. Identify those benchmarks. Identify the NIRF cohort that you want to go into, right? Once you have all these figures in front of you, then make a realistic target setting approach for yourself, right? In the next 3 years. This is how you validate, you find out that what exact points I need to track. How do you set the targets, right? This will turn, or this will convert your strategy into actionable outcomes. Else it will just be strategy. It will be just be some strategy documents. That's all. If you don't set the right targets. Now we are going to go into the most important segment of this webinar. How do you set correct targets, right? Now these metrics are derived, as I mentioned to you, from NAC, NBA, NIRF, EQUIS, AMBA, BGA, etc. Right? Now the next part, before I go to the real example of setting targets, this should be cascaded across institutions. So for example, if I'm saying that I'm a private university based out of Maharashtra, and I am, according to my NIRF, I need 250 Scopus Index articles, right? If this is my case, then my IQAC director should first find out this 250 figure for every academic year, which is realistic. Don't just set this figure at random. This should have a very clear agenda. Why 250? Now, once you have identified 250, then you start cascading this, that is disseminating these targets. I'm basically a school which has, I'm a university which has 3 schools. So I have school number 1, 2, 3, where I'm going to divide this target into 100, 50, 100. This should be dependent upon the faculty strength that you have, the quality of faculty that you have, the workload distributions that you do within those schools. Then only you will be able to find the correct targets. There are two ways of disseminating these targets. One, I set a target of 250, and then I tell my school deans to pick up that out of 250, how many can you do, you think? Right? So that is taking, absorbing those targets. On the other hand, in some schools, we also follow this strategy that a central IQAC is giving these targets to the deans of every school, right? Whichever suits you the best. But now, if you see this target properly, right from the vision of the institution, we are going towards the every stakeholder target. So every faculty, what does this faculty need to do? He needs to do 5 publications. He needs to do 1 consulting project. So now once you start the academic year, you're no longer talking about accreditations. You're talking about, if I have 10 faculties in my institution, what is the target of faculty number 1 to faculty number 10? And make sure not all faculties will have same targets, because different faculties have different strengths that need to be considered very carefully while we design this. Now, these are some target recommendations. Now, what we have done over here is that we have something interesting to show all of you, that all the metrics that I was showing to you, now we also have created a NBA target, NAC target, right? Then we have NIRF comparisons. So I'm taking example of a management school. So if I have to go in the top 100, what should be my value of this particular parameter? Similarly, you can have multiple cohorts. If I have to go in the rank band of 101 to 125, how do you do that? So this sheet or this particular framework will directly tell you what are the metric, how do you derive it, and if I have to set targets, then what is my NAC target, my NBA target, my NIRF target? Now just imagine if you have this amount of data in front of you. Now all of you will be so much more empowered towards finding out a correct target for yourself, right? So over here, I feel that I should set a target of 94 because it is achievable. And if I set a target of 94, I am achieving NIRF as well as NAC and NBA. But at some cases, it might not be possible. So then in those cases, you can take a very sensitive approach towards finding out this, correct? Next, now once you have this, right, out of this, some of these metrics I'm going to share on email directly. But this happens to be very interesting that this is not same for everybody. It is a very detailed exercise that institutions need to do, right? It is not just that, some company or some person gives targets and you set it, right? It has to be driven by the vision, has to be driven by the internal processes, and is a function of lot many things. Now the last step is basically linking the initiatives to the strategy, or linking the initiatives to every metric. Now, mind you, just setting targets will take you nowhere, unfortunately, because you just have, I have 500 publications today. I want to make it 1,000. Sounds exciting, but how will you do it? Right? That is where the final part of this comes, that is initiatives. Linking all of these points, all of these initiatives very meticulously to your targets. So, for example, I want to strengthen my industry collaboration, and I have given a higher target to do that particular part. Right now, once I request everybody to just mute yourself, please. My team. Yeah, sorry. So then I'm going to take some industry immersion programs. There are going to be some joint research projects. I'm going to take some corporate lectures. Once you start noting these points down very correctly, now it is going to help you in a very simple way, that point A is what is my point B? How do I make sure I'm doing all the correct initiatives? Right now, I'm going to show you the real example of how do you set your targets. So again, let's go back to Priya's management institution, who is trying to go in the NIRF some rank band. Right now, let us take an example of total earnings from sponsored project, which is a very interesting metric. And all of us know that sponsored projects happen to be very, very important. Now, Here is the summary that we have found out, that if she has to reach to NBA to NIRF, then what are the benchmarks? So Priya, from where did you find all these benchmarks? How do you know that you have to do 25 lakhs? How do you know to go in NIRF 75 to 125? You need to have a total earning across 3 years for 53 lakhs. And for this third rank band, it is 60. So help us understand, how have you come out to this conclusion?
Okay, so as per NBA guidelines, so I already know that 25 lakhs over 3 years is what the target is. But for NIRF, I use a Studium platform. So I'll give you a walkthrough that this particular platform helps me to understand the target automatically. So here I've selected my cohort of 101 to 125. And now I actually come and get the value of 60 lakhs as a target to me. So whatever the median value was coming into this particular cohort of rank band, which my target is coming into next few years. This is where I've come to this particular value.
Perfect. So, why we wanted to show this as a live case study is that this is exactly what happens now. If I am a dean of some department, I have to set the target of my sponsored projects. How do you set it? How do I find what is the realistic target for myself? Right. So it's a very simple tool that we have developed, that NIRF comparisons. I'm pretty sure some of you also have attended my last webinar about NIRF, where we have demonstrated this tool and we have given the free access to a lot of institutions across India. Is that it is very simple, that this tool already knows all the data of all category rank institution, participating institution across India directly in the system. Now it is so simple. A Priya is basically the part of some management college. She's checking what will be my target on this particular metric. If I go in my one, I'm targeting for top 100. If I'm targeting for 101 to 125, there will be different metrics, different targets. She can just select any of those cohorts. She can go down, she can search for that particular metric, and directly you will see the target that you need to set. Right, this is not only for ranked, you can also do the same exercise for a custom part. That, for example, I want to see that how do I perform against all the ranked institutions, but only PGDM. I don't want to compare the management institutions, I only want to compare the private institutions. Such custom analysis, or for example, there are some IIMs, IITs in this particular cohort of top 100. Of course, they are government funded, they'll be having more research funds. I don't want to compare myself with them. So give me an analysis of all of these parameters only of the institutions, excluding IIMs and IITs. You can directly get those data in front of you, right? So this is what she has used, the rationale behind setting targets, right? Priya, go back to the screen. Now, once you have this directly loaded in front of you, now you directly know that if I have to go in the rank band of 101 to 125, I have to have 60 lakh worth sponsored research funding over 3 years. This means every year I have to keep a target of 20 lakhs, right? If I have 20, 20, 20, I'll be at 60. And I am very sure that I will have good amount of funds to rank in that particular category. Now, mind you, why I am selecting 101 to 125? Because top 100 has a, now listen to this carefully. If you see the same parameter of top 100, the median or the target comes at 1.1 crores over 3 years. That means roughly around 33 lakhs of funding I have to gather for my research, sponsored research every year, which is very high. Hence, we are saying that this will be an easier way for me to go in the second rank band, that is 101 to 125. Right? Now, let us see how do you achieve this. So, Priya, help us understand what is the current situation, and how much of funding are you attracting today, and what is the size of your institution?
Okay, so talking about the size of institution, right now our intake is per batch 240, which combines to 480 in a year. And every year we are doing around 7 lakhs INR, which cumulatively for 3 years combines to like 21 lakh rupees, right? And the faculty strength to keep 20s to 1 ratio is 24 faculties for 480 students.
Perfect. So what I understand is we have 480 students in the campus, and we have roughly around 24, 25 faculties. And we are right now getting around 7 lakhs rupees funding every year, right? If you see, we are at 21 lakhs. So we are not at the 25 lakhs, which is the NBA benchmark. So we're not getting full marks in our NBA scores, right? Now let us see what will be the journey, what initiatives, what kind of targets should I be doing if I have to plan this particular strategy. Now, please keep this in mind. This is an oversimplified example. I'm not going. I'm trying to skip a lot of domain details. So this might sound very at some level some casual approach, but this is just for experimentation, and this won't be the real strategy for an institution, right? So this is how I'm going to plan. In my year zero, that is today, I'm at amount per year 7 lakhs. Year 1, I will try to do 12 lakhs. If I do 12, then I'll be 7 plus 7 plus 12, that is 26 lakhs, where I'm completing my NBA requirement. So in my immediate next year, I'll be, when my NBA accreditations are coming for re-accreditation, I'll be able to score full marks. Next, I'll start doing 15 lakhs. That will take me to 34. But again, I'm very far away from my NIRF benchmark. Then I'll jump from 15 to 20. Then I'm very close to the second tier that I showed you regarding 47 lakhs. I'm very close to the private institutions in the rank band of 75 to 120. So that will tell me that I at least rank amongst the private institutions, PGDM institutions that I'm comparing myself to. In the year 4, I will try for 25 lakhs. When I do 25, I will reach to 60 lakhs of total funding, which will help me to go in the rank band of 101 to 125. Now this sounds very simple that just allocate target, that's all. But that is not how it works. If an institution has to actually do this, what kind of initiatives they'll have to take, right? So now let us dive deep into what will happen every year, right? So what kind of sponsored projects are we trying to attract, and how will we do this in step by step approach? Okay. Now, again, I know this might be getting a bit more technical, but please understand that setting targets is not a very easy exercise. It is very data driven. It has to have lot of analysis. Your data analytics team has to be very strong, and then only you'll be able to track it every year correctly, right? So currently we are having 7 lakhs. So what is the status? I have 480 faculties with me. Sorry, 480 students with me. To maintain my SFR of 20:1, I have 24 faculties. Now, roughly around 15% of faculties participate into sponsored research. That is, 3 faculties out of 24 are doing my sponsored research. I cannot set a target that every faculty will do sponsored research, because sponsored research is a cream of actual research. You need to attract funding from industry, and you can't expect that every faculty will be able to do that, right? So the per faculty contribution or the per project contribution right now is roughly around 2.5 lakh. So I take one project for which I attract 2.5 lakh rupees funding, and hence I'm able to do 7.5 lakh rupees every year, right? Now, what I'm trying to do in this particular part, right? This is my current situation. Now, how do you go to the next step? When I have to go to the next step, what kind of initiatives I'll have to plan? So my year 1 strategic initiatives build the foundation for sponsored projects. So first I'll have to do some capacity building, right? Just imagine, if go just go back to the previous slide. Just imagine if I have, instead of 3, if I have 4 faculties who will start doing the same amount of projects for me, then what will happen? I'll get roughly around 2.5 lakh rupees more in sponsored research compartment in the next academic year. If I have to do that, right? So observe this carefully. What are the variables that you can change? One, you can add more faculties. Then you can encourage more faculties to do sponsored research or sponsored project, or you can increase the volume or the density of every project. So instead of 2.5 lakhs, you can start having 10 lakhs every project, right? These are the only 3 variables you can control. And let us see how do you do step by step. So first, I'll focus on my first parameter of only 15% of faculties doing my sponsored research. I have a scope of improvement. So I will target that if I have to go to 12 lakhs next year, I will target that probably in the keeping the faculty strength the same, I will basically have 20% of faculties doing this. If I have to do that, I'll have to do capacity building. So I'll have to conduct proposal writing, research training, sponsored research. I'll have to do a lot of workshops for my faculty. So keep this in mind. This is my next year target. What I'm taking these initiatives today because I want to achieve it next year. This is how you plan for it. And also you'll have to build and maintain the industry relationships. So the corporate relations team that you have internally has to be on their toes when you start doing any such activity, right? Go next. Now see what changed. Now basically we have 20% of the faculty. Now we have 20% of the faculty doing this particular part, right? So we have five faculties instead of three. Now, if you see just the mathematical equation, if you have five faculties doing 2.5, you naturally attract 12.5 lakh rupees and you are meeting the target for MBA in your year one. So you did not have to do anything much very, very different. You just had to come here and make sure two more faculties in my institution will take more projects. That's all, right? So it sounded very difficult, but it wasn't that difficult if you break down this into smaller strategies. Let's go to the next year now. Now, now I will have to, in the next year, when I have to go to the higher target of 15 lakhs, now I will try that can I it was in my strategic plan to increase the student intake. So if I apply to AICTE to get more intake, right, naturally I'll have to attract more faculties. So this is going to be my plan for my next academic year, that maybe I'll start utilizing the current MOUs, but I'll add more faculties. So go to the next screen. Now, if I add more faculties and if I have more funding, right, then what we'll have is that now I have gone from nahi, okay, per faculty contribution. Okay, so I have applied for AICTE, but AICTE hasn't approved to any of my requests so far. So I have not got my extension of approval, right? I have not gotten the more seats, so I don't have more faculties. I'll have to stick to my 20%. I still have 24 faculties, so I have five faculties. But if I just fine tune one of the small contribution, that can I attract the more meteor projects, if I just increase that by 50,000 more, then I'm easily going to achieve my next year's target of 15 lakhs. Right? These are some small advancements we are doing every now and then to make sure we are reaching to certain sizable targets. Okay. Next improvement that I can do in my next year's strategic plan is that can I recruit new faculties? Can I do institutional capacity building? Right? Go to the next part. Now here you will see that the increased intake is from 480 to 600. I basically got 120 more intake part over here. So now I have more faculties to do this particular part, right? So once I have more faculties, I'll maintain all my other parameters the same. I won't change anything. I'll keep my 20% same. I'll keep my 3 lakhs same. But now as I have more faculties, I'll be attracting more sponsored research components here, right? So these are some tips and tricks that we are trying to break down into. Show me the final table now. Yes. So this is how we have achieved going in our final benchmarks. In the year one, what we did, we focused upon can I have from 15% to 20%? Can I have more faculties to do my sponsored research? For that, I had to invest into capacity building. Then in my next year, I tried can my corporate relations team attract meteor funding? Can I get, and I'm not expecting directly from 2.5 lakhs to 7 lakhs, only 3 lakhs, right? If I do that and maintain all my other things correctly, I'm going to my next year's target. Here, I had a different strategy. I applied for more funding, more intake. Naturally, all my components fell in place, right? And at the last, I again tried that can I increase from 20 to 25? One fourth of my faculties are doing this particular exercise every year, right? This is how you start measuring every single part for every single metric, right? This is how we have achieved for Priya's institution, that how do you go towards it, right? Now the last part, that once you have set targets, you have set initiatives, how do you measure these targets? How do you monitor these targets? Now I'm just in next 2 minutes, I'm going to show you just a walkthrough of how do we achieve it using our platform. So let's, Priya, help us to go in this particular platform. Yes. So whatever exercise we did right now, this is exactly what we do with our partner institutions across India. There are some top ranked institutions, there are some newly formed institutions, but our approach everywhere typically remains the same, right? So what we have done, we have a metric dashboard. This is directly done for the higher management. So if I am the IQAC director of this business school, I want to see how much of my metrics are getting achieved. I don't have to go look for data. I don't have to ask for anybody. This is the final dashboard right in front of me. We go up. I can just call my quality assurance team that, hey, we have completed 3 months, one quarter is over, and you only have 28 parameters performing well. 59 parameters are not performing well. What's going wrong? Do you need any assistance? Do you need any help? And I want to see why it is not working. So I can directly go, I can check the previews, I can check what exactly is missing. Here I see the calculation, how is it getting converted to 100% success index, right? So this is the platform that will directly help you find out that how have you set your targets, what are the initiatives, are your stakeholders working correctly, and if you stand today, where are you? Have you reached 10%, 20%, 30%? Where have you reached, right? And now just look at the magic here. Okay, that Priya will be showing all of us that for academic year 24-25, I have set certain strategic goals that you saw in my earlier presentation. Now this is a readily designed and available dashboard right in front of you, showing you that this is the vision, these are the mission statements, what are my objectives, coming down, these are my goals. And I directly have that goal number 2 is performing amazingly well. We are at 93, almost 94% of achievement. But my goal number 3 is only under 50%. So what is going wrong? So what is the thought process? Thought process is pretty simple. Goals linked to certain metrics, metrics linked to certain targets. And every target is getting measured every now and then, right? And this is a beautifully designed dashboard right in front of you that you can directly see that. Now just imagine that you go for ACSB. The standard one of ACSB talks about strategic plan. How do you set it? How do you measure it? How do you monitor it? Right in front of you. If we go to AMBA or BGA, there we use a term called as CIM, continuous improvement metrics. We talk about the exact same thing over here. That how do you achieve it? What's happening over there? And any accreditation, you go to NBA, your criteria 1 and criteria 2 focus upon strategic plan, your goals, vision, mission, achievement. Come down. Now, I can directly say that overall achievement is 50%. That means I'm saying I've achieved my goals and achieved my mission by 50.71%. Now, just imagine a business school director telling in the public domain that we are able to achieve it by 50% or 60%. This is such a big statement done by the business school director, right? You're able to quantify how much have you achieved your vision statement. It is very important. This is being achieved just using some step-by-step approach that I just mentioned right now, right? Let's go back and I guess Dr. Manisha has also joined all of us. So in next 5 minutes, I'm going to hand it over to her, and then she's going to explain us that how is this getting implemented at JCU, how is this framework, this thought process. She mentioned a very beautiful line that all these parts are just a part of our DNA, and we just do it naturally. And this was very soothing for me to hear, right? So she'll be sharing that how does this get implemented at JCU. Of course, she won't be able to share a lot of private information, but she has a lot of tips and tricks that she can share with all of us. All I want to focus upon right now is that if we do this very correctly, if we do this every year, every semester, setting, all of these accreditations have similar parts, similar standards. So, for example, ASCSB has strategic management and innovation. IQUIS says strategy and governance metrics. NBA says continuous improvement processes. AMBA says continuous improvement metrics. NAC says perspective plan and institutional development. Isn't this all the same? Right? If you have a right quality process right in front of you, there are some tools helping measuring your data, helping you to derive to the right targets, you are all set. Now all remains is all the qualitative work, right? Go next. And these are some key benefits that I personally have seen in a lot of business schools where we have implemented such frameworks at a large level. Accreditation preparation becomes easier. Leadership decisions become data driven. institutional initiatives become focused, and departments work towards a shared mission, right? And we think that we are enablers for all the institutions in India to go towards all rankings, accreditations, everything, right? So before I hand it over to Dr. Manisha, I would also like to say that the institutions who have registered today, so I can see around 100 people, 100 odd people joining this webinar. So I'm going to share all these 150 metrics frameworks with you. I'm going to share all the targets. Also, because this is a very indigenously developed system, we won't be able to share a lot of things directly. But I highly appreciate if you come on board and just book a meeting with us. We'll be happy to walk you through what target should you be setting, what are your targets. We can load such dashboards for you. So this will be a very exciting analysis of what's exactly happening, right? So by this, I am at the end of my presentation. I exactly used around 52 minutes. And Manisha ma'am, hi. I hope you can see me.
Hi, Shubham. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, perfectly. And ma'am, I mean, handing over to you. And just for your, I just try to introduce ma'am. So, Dr. Manisha ma'am comes from James Cook University, Singapore. So, Australian University also having a Singapore campus. And there are a lot of things that they have implemented. When I was talking to her, she told me about a lot of initiatives that JCU has been taking over years. And I thought, I mean, she'll be a perfect person to guide all of us. How is JCU doing today? Ma'am, to just give you a brief about our audience today, we have a lot of people joining from lot of business schools. A lot of them are ACSB accredited. They are in the EQS or some accreditation journey. And this is a perfect place where they can learn something very valuable from you. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you. Hello, hi everyone. Very good evening. And it's 7:30 here now, so I think we have half an hour more to go. I'll try to keep things simple and easy for everyone because I know Shubham has already shared a lot, a very rigorous process of target setting. So I'll just go a bit very briefly. I'll just share about myself. So I'm head of accreditation at James Cook University. It's a Australian university, 50 years, more than 50 years old university, and we are in Singapore for more than 20 years already. So we have a lot of accreditations already. Like we are AACSB accredited. I'm not very familiar with NBA and IRF, etc. But we have something similar called EduTrust, which is our local mandatory mandatory educational certification scheme. So we are part of that, and that is very data driven and documents driven, unlike AACSB, which is very continuous improvement driven. So we have a lot of accreditation, and we are good in terms of international rankings as well. And very slowly, very briefly, I would like to touch on the philosophical aspect of strategic target setting. So I know Shubham has gone through a lot of data driven, but of course that's important because when you are coming up with your target setting. But I would go to the philosophical aspect of this. So how we begin with our strategic planning and how do we go to target setting? So as Shubham already mentioned that this is part of our DNA. So since I have been in this role, or even before that, this like the focus, the whole entire intention or vision of the university is very much important in everything we do. So no matter which staff you ask, everybody will know what is the mission, what is the university vision and mission, and how does it translate into their job, what they are doing. And you'll be surprised to hear when we had our PRT visit for AACSB, they even asked PhD students that how do you see that, how does your research focuses or complements the strategic intent of the university. So not only like putting in documents or putting in the files, etc., or websites, but how are we living that strategic vision every day That is the philosophy that we have. So we have a strategic intent. This strategic intent translates then into our strategic priorities. I'll give you some examples. And these strategic priorities are then translated into some university goals. After that, these university goals are broken down into business plan for each unit. So let's say HR unit, finance unit, sales unit, etc. And then at the individual level, we have performance management plan. So that data that everybody's that KPIs or performance management plan feeds into the business plan, that feeds into the university goals. And then this is the data-driven process that Shubham already mentioned. So we have this top-down system here where we begin with strategic intent, and then this is translated in our day-to-day life or day-to-day activities that we are doing. So as an academic, whether we are doing teaching, research, engagement, outreach, everything is directly related to our strategic intent. So if you just look at our website, it's our university motto is creating a brighter future for life. And we have a place that is tropics and the beyond, because it's a tropical university in the northern Queensland. And we cover, because as most of the more than 70% of the population lives in the tropical area, so our emphasis is on tropical population. And what as an educational institution, of course, providing education is our first job, but also at the same time doing research. And with this education and research, what we aim to do actually is to provide a better future for life for everyone. So I'll pick up that again in a while, but. And when we aim to deliver this strategy, or strategic intent, we have already ingrained some values. So how are we going to do that? So it's not only that this is what we want to do, but how do we want to do that? What are our values are associated with this strategy? So we have certain values of like authenticity, so how ethical we are, how transparent we are in our in any activity that we are doing, whether it is outreach, whether it is student recruitment, whether it is student finding placements for a student, how authentic we are. Then excellence, as we say, when you chase excellence, you will already have a success. So anything we do, how it is translated into the excellence part of our day-to-day activity, we all strive to do that. Integrity. So no matter what we do, we have to be honest, to not only to ourselves, but to anybody and everybody who is working with us. So integrity is one of the foremost virtue that we live every single day. And respect for everyone around us, respect for the process, respect for the people, respect for the region. So all these values are equally important when we talk about that this is we want to achieve. So how we want to achieve through this values. So looking at this, our strategic intent, you might have seen there are four main themes. So first of all, it is about our people. So our people, who are our people? Our people are our staff, our students, and of course the communities we serve. So not only focusing on students, just teaching, but we also think about, how our education or our research is benefiting the society, benefiting the culture, benefiting the economy, and also at the same time, how it is bringing a new perspective for our people who are working or who are in a working environment or learning environment. And then the place we have already identified that where do we want to make a difference? Where do we really want to create this brighter future? So, of course, initially our strategic intent was very much focused on tropics, but now we have revised in last couple of years, and we talk about not only tropics and beyond, because in this global mobility world, people do keep moving from one place to another. So, how our research, our education is not even translating to the tropical region, but also, going beyond this tropical region. That is what our agenda is. Education, of course, we are an education institution, so our main aim is to provide education, but it's not only that, providing degrees or providing, certificates, but at the same time, we also try to create graduates who are intellectually curious, who are ready to question, who are able to, when they start working, how they succeed in the workplace. So these kind of education is not limited to degrees and certificates, but is moreover about how do this education transforms into them being a global citizen, and also being a global someone ready for a global workforce. Research, that is again another very important pillar of our strategic intent. So our research is inspired by our, of course, social and geographical location where we are in the tropics or nearby areas, but at the same time we are trying to reach beyond the tropical areas and to deliver not only research that is that gets good citation, but at the same time it creates an impact, a meaningful change at the ground level. That is also we are trying to achieve. So so I'll just share some strategic priorities that we have come up after our strategic intent. So we have 5 strategic priorities. I'll just very briefly touch on them one by one. So first of all, there's of course education, that providing a transformative education. So why we say it's transformative and not only providing degrees, because we want to do something beyond providing degrees. So we are trying to see that how can we include experiential learning in our curriculum. How can we make sure that whether we are offering courses in one campus or the other campus, how it is seamless, how it is equivalent, how our students are getting the same experience where no matter which campus they are. And also providing like pathways. So there are students who might be facing difficulty in getting admission to the university. So providing those pathways, that how they can access university education, especially in Australian context, where this university is a regional university, and students come from regional, remote, and sometimes even indigenous families, etc. So after this strategic priority, we then come up with certain goals. So of course, the goals could be like, how was our student experience, student participation, how the students are able to use practice-based learning, and how we are promoting high quality learning and in all attendance mode in all locations. So after these goals, we create certain measures of success like progression, completion, student satisfaction, graduate employment. So these are like key target that we set. That's what I think Shubham was talking about in the context of research. So these is some example from our transformative education priority. So next priority is impactful research. So for our research, we are not only focusing on, enhancing the research capability of the university, but at the same time, how our research is impacting the ground, the tropics, the region where we are. So we are trying to provide like how our research can be innovative, how it can have some commercialization opportunities for the end users and community. And we try to find solutions to the problems through our research. So not only like, getting cited in a good journal article, but also whether we are going to make any policy level impact through our research. That is the main agenda. So again, there are some goals attached to these research. So our research should have should be able to provide some research culture, drawing national and international recognition. It should be relevant to make some local impact, and also there should be some opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurship benefit for the community we are serving. And through that, we have some measure of success, such as, again, targets like what is the quality and impact of research output, like what research income we are having in terms of like research fundings that we are receiving, and how does it translate to our rankings. We all talk about rankings nowadays. Other strategy is about impacting our people. So people means not only our student, but also our staff, our other stakeholders. So how they are valued, how they are enabled through an inclusive and respectful learning environment for everyone. And then the goals which are set are like, how this workforce is going to get new opportunities in this changing environment, which is like in terms of like earlier work integrated learning was an important aspect. Now AI is another important aspect. How we are including that in our courses, in our curriculum. Then we also understand that we also try to diversify our academic and professional staff, that to make our workplace more and more inclusive and respectful for all, and then it is measured at various business level. Similarly, our other priority is like we call ourselves a civic university. When we call ourselves civic university, it means that we do have a strong relationship with our communities, our local people, and through this relationship, we try to engage with our community, that not only delivering education but also creating that research that helps them to solve day-to-day life issues or life problems. So in this way, we try to affect policies for policy through the government support, or we use sometimes industry as an enabler and contributor for this goals as well. And then some of this industry and community experience is also helps our students to get improved employment opportunities in our region. So some of the success measures here are like how much external funding we are getting from various government institutions, and whether we are a university of choice in the regional market or not. The last one is our securing our future. So what we do, our motto is that JCU is, ready today for tomorrow. So that is our motto. So how can we be ready for tomorrow? So what are the things we are doing, that how we are creating opportunities, how we are bringing benefits to the region, not only through financial stability, but also we always talk about like triple bottom line. It should be social, cultural, environmental sustainability, and how we are going to create opportunities for future generations, how we want to be more giving towards future generation. So some of the goals, of course, one of the goal is like our strong financial base, that is important to survive, but at the same time we do make sure that the triple bottom line of social, environmental, economic sustainability is at the heart of our university. And some of the measure of success is like total student load or student number that you call, and of course annual operating surplus. These are some of the financial success measures. So just to give you an example, like how this philosophy, it directly translates into the research into the KPIs that you call, or operational performance targets for everyone. So for example, let's say our research strategy is that we want to deliver impactful and regionally relevant research. So these are the two main areas. First of all, our research should be impactful, means it is ready to create some difference in the region nearby or beyond, and then it should be able to address the challenges that the society or the community is facing. So some of the metrics that are included is like how much research funding we are getting through the various government or non-government institutions, whether we are getting any industry-sponsored research, and of course, publications, citations, how much research collaboration we are doing worldwide. That is also one of the KPI. And research commercialization means how much we are able to, like file patents or create something meaningful out of it. So then there are some objectives, like I've given you real examples that what are the objectives, some of the objectives included in our research plan. So things could be like, how much research income we are generating, how many new innovations we think we are going to get. So we always try to have long-term target, like 5 years plan, and then triennium target, which is 3-year plan, and there are 1-year target, which is annual business plan. So when we develop the strategy, is always long-term planning, and then it is broken down into short-term plan and annual business plan. So these strategy that you are looking at is all these objectives, which are for 5-year university plan. So in this, like you can see that we by 2030 we want 80% of academic research to be following the minimum expectations for their we have something called Australian 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 performance quality framework. So how we are, whether we are all our academic staff meet that criteria. We also want to, as I mentioned, that we want to be inclusive in our engagement. So it's because especially in for our Australian campuses, so how many indigenous staff we have on campus, or not only indigenous staff in Australian campus, but like in Singapore, whether we are open to hire people with disabilities and with their special needs, etc. So that shows the inclusivity of our staff. Our staff policies are also, somehow reflects the philosophy that we have applied. We also have and then this is just a research example. Like we also have I can also show you one academic example. So for example, when we talk about program improvement, at any program level, so it is again guided by our mission. So again, our mission is, providing a transformative education. So then after that, we set up some goals that you already saw in the transformative education section. Then we have, with each goal, we come up with each objectives, and some outcomes are created. So all these courses that we deliver have some program level outcomes, and each subject has subject level outcomes. At the end of the program, all these outcomes are measured. So the measurement methods could be not only the direct method, which is like assessment that students take part in, or lecturers reflection, or students feedback on the subject etc. But there are some indirect measurement method as well. So for example, students feedback, employers feedback, or alumni's feedback. We include all these other indirect measures as well into our measurement methods. And then we analyze those results. We do analysis that, we have target setting of each of these CLOs and PLOs, program level learning outcome and subject learning outcome. And then we do analysis of that and see whether, whether we are meeting our targets, whether we are not meeting our targets, what kind of actions we need to take, and we need to then keep showing program improvements. As you know that, if, for example, AACSB, it is specifically focuses on a continuous improvement philosophy, so they don't want to see how great you are, but they want to see, how well you are able to understand your weaknesses, and what plan do you have to address those weaknesses, and whether you are able to implement those plans, and then measure those plans, measure the success of those plans. So that is what we keep doing as a part of our strategic planning process as well. So we have how do we review? How do we make sure? How should we monitor and review these targets? So these reviews are we keep reviewing our KPIs, as I mentioned, an annual business plan every year, and also that data goes into our 3-year plan and 5-year plan as well. Then we do yearly audit, and after that, so performance management plan is a quarterly audit that happens by each stakeholder. So each staff members have to present like a goal setting at the beginning of the year. Then we have first quarter review, mid-year review, third quarter review, and the end of year review. That the process keeps going for all the staff members at the university. And it's a very, how to say, it is like a very natural process at the moment in our university's operations now. So not only target setting, not only strategies and targets, we also risk management is also a very important aspect of our strategic planning part. So we do keep monitoring, we do keep understanding by analyzing that what are the risks at the moment for us, for what are the immediate risk, what are the long-term risks, etc. We do have a risk register that it's a live document, equally live document, just like our strategic plan. We do risk analysis. We identify what are the risk, immediate risk or long-term risk, and we have mitigation strategies for those risks in place. And that's why we I will just share that, when COVID-19 happened, we already had this kind of a risk uh, not exactly in the name of COVID-19, but like in sometimes, let's see what happens when there is a health hazard or because SARS, SARS was already one of the, previous incident in Singapore. Such kind of health hazard, how will we react, or how will we, perform when we have such situations like SARS, or so when COVID happened, we had our processes, our, our our responsibility is very clear, that how are we going to operate, in this time of COVID-19. So we have those mitigation strategies in place for immediate risk and also future risk. And also we do continuous monitoring every year, that how we are performing on this risk, etc. So this is all for my part. We have some time left, and I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has.
Hello, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you, everybody. So we are at the end of today's session, and what we have achieved today is basically we have given a framework to everybody, that how can we exactly derive the strategic goals. Ma'am has already beautifully explained how to, they are doing this at JCU. And now, followed by this process, by the end of this webinar, you all will receive some templates of what we received, what we showed today. Also, the presentation that we used. This is basically the toolkit. It also has the detailed example that we have utilized. So all of this will be a freebie of this particular webinar. All the registration, all the participants will get a certificate for this. Now, followed by this, we basically are going to be open for the next 2 weeks to talk to all the institutions with respect to what exactly, how exactly can we help them in terms of setting strategic goals. How can we implement a tool like this so that all these strategic plans become measurable? How can you report this to multiple rankings, multiple accreditations? So this all is embedded in Studium, and you're already added in this group called as HEQF, Higher Education Quality Forum. So HEQF is basically a neutral initiative taken by Studium, where we'll be doing one webinar every month. There will be a lot of templates. There will be a lot of experts that will be added to this group. Lot of ecosystem benefits will be given to all the faculties. There are no financials involved into this. We want as much participation as possible. So share the group link with everybody in your audience, in your groups that you think will be, interested in such an initiative. And thank you everybody for attending. And we'll be sending you all these things shortly. And thank you, Manisha ma'am. And we'll be open for questions. And I just want to know that if this was valuable. So if this was valuable, can we get yes in the chat, please, by some of you, so that we get some motivation that whatever we are doing actually makes sense, or else it becomes very difficult. So if we have any questions, love to answer. And if you can get some, yeah, thank you all. And yeah, please share. Yeah, definitely. We'll share the recordings. We'll share all these things on email. So that is definitely
Hello.
done.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Hi.
I have a question. Maybe it's not in the purview of this webinar, but definitely connected to accreditation.
Sure.
I'm Dr. Vasanthi from Aether Institute of Technology. I just wanted to know what is the intent of the W case, what is introduced by NBA.
Yeah, so this is, if I'm not wrong, we are talking about engineering programs.
Correct.
Correct. So these are Washington goals. So NBA wants us to align more with the Washington Accord goals that have been launched. So if you want, I'll also share you a detailed document around it.
No, I have the document. I have the document with me. I've gone through that also. Mapping of WKs with program outcomes, everything I've seen. but I did not really understand why is it required, because program outcomes are already there. Why is this WKs required? That is my question.
So, yeah, when we had a discussion with NBA team, so they basically had mentioned that the WKs are basically Washington Accord goals, and NBA is based upon Washington Accord. And then now we are trying to map it. So we are trying to say that whatever program outcomes we are using, are they aligned with whatever Washington Accord says? That is the only benefit of doing this. And so on and so forth, going ahead, this will be introduced to all the events, all initiatives that you take. So you'll have to map it to every single initiative in the institution that you take. Is it
No,
aligned?
program outcomes are okay. I'm talking about WK.
That's what the WK has that have been released are basically based on Washington Accord. So, ma'am, I think we'll take this offline. I'll you drop in your message. I'll call you
Yeah.
personally. We'll have a discussion
Yeah.
on this.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so thank you everybody. So we are exactly at 5:30. So we could manage everything going. Right. So thank you everybody for joining. And we have put in all the links, and you'll also get a call from my team regarding the feedback. So do share your feedback so that we can come up with more valuable such webinars later on. So thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shubham. Bye bye. Good night.